Have you ever been on vacation and thought, you know what, I'm taking some of this food home? Maybe it's fruit from a family member's garden or a treat your aunt packed in your suitcase before you could say no. You land in the US after a 10-hour flight. You're exhausted, and a customs officer asks, are you bringing any fruits, vegetables, meats, or plants into the United States? And you think, does that mango in my bag really count? I'm Sharon. I spent years working for U.S. Customs and Border Protection. I've seen thousands of travelers leave the inspection area wondering, why did they take my food? It was just a mango. Today, we're opening our first CBP case file to answer that question, because what seems like a harmless snack is actually the front line of a multi-billion-dollar battle. The hidden passenger. Meet David and Sarah. They just spent 2 weeks visiting family overseas. The trip was perfect, the food was incredible, and yes, the family insisted on sending them home with a taste of the local harvest. They're standing at baggage claim when Sarah whispers, "Hey, didn't your aunt pack some mangoes for you?" David freezes, "I think they're still in my backpack." To them, it's just fruit, not drugs, not weapons, so they head toward customs. When the officer asks the standard agriculture question, David pauses. He's nervous. He remembers the mangoes. Now, if you're David, you might be tempted to say no just to get home faster. But David takes a breath and says, "Yeah, I actually have a couple of mangoes in my bag." The officer doesn't reach for handcuffs. He doesn't even raise his voice. He just asks David to place the fruit on the inspection table. It's a simple conversation, but it's one that prevents a potential ecological disaster. Here's what the officer sees that David doesn't. It's not about the fruit, it's about the hitchhikers. Inside a perfectly healthy-looking mango, there could be microscopic insect eggs or larvae. We're talking about pests like the Mediterranean fruit fly, the medfly, which is considered the most destructive fruit pest in the world. It attacks over 250 types of nuts and fruits, turning the pulp into mush. Or the mango seed weevil, which hides deep inside the pit, invisible to the naked eye. Then there are the pathogens. Bacterial and fungal diseases like citrus canker or black spot can decimate entire groves. Most travelers have no idea that the fruit they're carrying could be a biological Trojan horse. When an officer takes that mango, they aren't trying to ruin your snack. They're stopping a species that has no natural predators in the U.S. from gaining a foothold. Why is the government so protective? Because U.S. agriculture is a $1 trillion industry. According to the USDA, invasive species cost the U.S. economy approximately $120 billion every single year in damages and control. If a pest like the Oriental fruit fly is detected in a single county, international trading partners can ban all fruit exports from that entire state. For places like California or Florida, that's billions of dollars in lost revenue overnight. We've seen this happen. In the 1980s, a medfly outbreak in California linked to infested fruit brought in by travelers led to massive aerial pesticide spraying over residential areas and cost the state over $100 million to contain. In 2015, an outbreak in Florida forced the destruction of thousands of pounds of commercial crops. When you lose a harvest, crop yields go down, and your grocery prices go up. That mango in your backpack suddenly becomes very, very expensive. This brings us to the most important part of the process, the declaration. A lot of travelers hide food because they're afraid of getting in trouble, but here is the professional secret. If you declare it, you are safe. If David tells the officer about the mangoes and they are prohibited, the officer simply takes them and destroys them. No fine, no penalty, case closed. However, if David says nothing to declare and a canine or an X-ray finds those mangoes, it is legally considered a smuggling attempt. The consequences are real. Civil fines for a first-time individual offense typically start at $300 to $500. But for many, the biggest hit isn't the money, it's the revocation of privileges. If you fail to declare an agricultural item, your global entry, Sentry, or TSA PreCheck memberships can be permanently revoked. You become a high-risk traveler every time you fly for years to come. Back at the airport, David's mangoes were confiscated and properly disposed of in a biohazard bin. He was a little disappointed, but he walked away with his record clean and his global entry intact because he was honest. Customs isn't just about looking for the big stuff, it's about protecting our forests, our farms, and our food supply from things we can't see. So, next time you're packing to come home from an international trip, take one last look in your bag. And if you're standing at that podium wondering, should I mention this? My advice is always the same. Just tell them. Let the officer make the call. It's a lot easier to lose a mango than it is to lose your travel privileges. I'm Sharon, and this was CBP Case File number 001.